Hello, this is Dr. Edward Mooney, and I'm here trying to find ways to help parents and teachers who are struggling to continue academics in this strange time of coronavirus. And I'm producing this set of quick videos that I call Teachable Moments. This time, I'm going to talk a little more on educational psychology, one of my areas of specialty. I would have to entitle this episode, Remember What's First, Remember What's Important. I was a high school teacher for 25 years, and I still remember the first week that I was a teacher, and my principal, his name was Larry Yagoian, McFarland High School in California, called me into his office and he said, I know you've been through all the teacher training classes, but there's one lesson that I really want you to never forget any day you're in a classroom. And of course I was, what is it? What is it? And he said, kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And after 25 years of teaching and a number of years serving as a professor of education, I can say that if there's one thing you shouldn't forget during this time, is that. So keep the student's psychology in your mind very strong right now. It isn't just about passing tests or creating assignments or anything like that. Right now the kids are anxious. The parents are anxious. Maybe you're anxious also. The kids knowing you care about them can go a long way. I like to illustrate that with two stories from my years in high school when I was a kid. I grew up with an abusive alcoholic father, and he put me in the hospital a couple of times. And one night I'd been in the hospital and the doctor gave me a note saying I didn't have to go to school the next day. Well, for me, going to school was an escape. At home was a nightmare. So I went to school. And in my Algebra 2 class, the teacher, whose name I won't mention, was going around checking everyone's assignment. You know, in Algebra 2, you do a few problems, but each one takes a long time. And I'd only finished maybe 3 out of the 5. And I told her, I'm sorry, I was in the hospital last night. I had a bandage right here. And I said, if you give me some time at lunch, I can finish the other 2, and I'll come to your room and turn it in. Well, she got very upset with me, and she started calling me names. She started to say she didn't want to hear excuses, and just because you're a jock, you think you can get away with everything. By the way, I was a football player, but I would call myself a third-string football player. I wasn't really much of a jock. A girl I liked leaned over and said, I know he went to the hospital. I saw the ambulance pick him up, which kind of surprised me. I went in an ambulance. Anyway, she yelled at her, and I said, please don't yell at her. She's just trying to help. She again turned on me, and I ended up ripping my bandage off with the stitches there. And she got very angry with me and showed no compassion whatsoever, and told me to go to the vice principal's office. I did very poorly in that class, the poorest I've ever done in my high school diploma, bachelor's, master's, and a doctorate. It's definitely what I call the low class. And it had nothing to do with my math ability. Later in college, I took a number of math classes and did just fine. It had everything to do with how she treated me, I realized years later. The second story I'd like to tell is about Mr. Schroeder, Lowell K. Schroeder, and I think he needs to be remembered. After that, I went to Mr. Schroeder's class, and I sat in the back, and he came and looked at me and said, why so glum? And I just said, I've decided I'm quitting high school, and I'm going to move to Alaska. Well, Mr. Schroeder kind of grinned, and he said, how much money do you have in your pocket? And I opened the wallet and said $7, and he laughed and says, what will you do with all the extra money? Remember, this was Southern California. And I said, I wouldn't make it, would I? He said, no. And he sat down and he said, why don't you tell me what's going on? And I told him that I had a hard time with the teacher, and I was having a hard time at home. He pointed at my bandage and said, did it have something to do with that? And I nodded yes. I want you to know that kids don't like to talk about abuse and things like that at home. I didn't. He said, I bet you're not comfortable talking. I said, I'm not. He said, I'll tell you what. Why don't you just relax a little, don't worry about your assignment today, and let's talk later. I decided to keep drawing. It was a mechanical drawing class. And he was walking down the aisle, and I took a pencil, and I held it like this, and I wasn't paying attention, and my thumb snapped the pencil, and it flew. And as my luck would have it, he was walking down, and it hit him right in the face. He looked at me. He leaned over and picked up the broken part of the pencil and walked back and said, "Where's the rest of this pencil?" And of course, I handed it to him. And he said, "Do you ever realize that once you break a pencil, you can never put it back together again the same?" And I nodded. He said, "You know, you're having a hard day. I'll let it go. I'm going to choose to believe you weren't trying to hurt me." I went, "No, I was not." And I said, "Can I make it up to you?" And he pointed at the back, and they had something called Sweets catalogs in the back of the class. Hold on a second. Like this. This is an actual Sweets catalog. Now, why do I have one? Well, I spent my lunch reorganizing his Sweets catalogs. And at the end of lunch, he walked in and he handed me a carton of milk and a berry fruit pie. And I said, "What's this for?" He said, "You did a great job on the books." I said, "But I was just doing it to say I'm sorry." And he said, I'm doing this because I care about you." I would do anything for that teacher, and I did. I helped clean his room, whatever he wanted. If assignment was due, it was on time from me. It was because I knew he cared about me. So then, years later, I found a Sweets catalog for sale. And I decided I had to have one to remember Mr. Lowell Schroeder. So, what's the message behind today's video? Your kids need you right now. Your kids are looking to you for strength, for caring in times that are really difficult for all of us. So my number one lesson from this is just be there right now for them. And as to you, I know you're feeling a lot of pressure and stress. Do what I've said at the end of every one of my videos. Take a deep breath. Relax. You're doing the best you can. And your fear and anxiety is making it difficult for you to concentrate. But that's okay. Just do the best you can. I care. Now, down below is my email address. If you have any questions, if you'd like anything for me to address in these videos, send me a message. I'd like to help. Take care. And I know your kids need you and appreciate you. Goodbye for now.